Congratulations to the MassBay class of 2020 and to all those people who helped you get to this day. Today is truly special. Although circumstances keep us apart, we're all happy to share this occasion with you. We celebrate your great accomplishment in an altogether strange and uncertain time. If you've studied the past or taken a history course, you probably noticed that our attention inevitably drifts to crisis and conflict. It's not true that the focus is always on crisis, but it sure can feel that way. So while I, as a historian, study the past, I've never had much desire to time travel to the 10th century, for example. Although Vikings may have had awesome beards, they weren't very friendly. And living in this moment is only reinforced in me this long-standing desire to avoid living in what later generations will think are historically significant moments. Given that we're living and working and graduating in the very midst of a historically remarkable global crisis, let's contemplate what matters. Crises present society's problems in high definition and force us to prioritize what's important. The pandemic pulled back the curtain to reveal the economic inequality, racial problems, and political polarization, which intensify the fragility of everyday life in America. The health crisis will recede. However, the problems it's revealed and those yet made clear will challenge us for years to come. But don't be afraid. There's a kind of beauty that exists in troubled times. Take the Great Depression, for example. Millions of young people deferred adulthood in order to care for older folks whom the Depression hit especially hard. In some cases, hardship drove 4 generations of family members to live under the same roof. Imagine that for a minute. Privacy, convention, short-term goals, individual needs mattered less. How you treated people mattered. I remember talking to my grandmother, the daughter of Italian immigrants who came of age at the Depression's height, about her experience during those difficult years. She said something that surprised me. Even though times were tough, she lamented the lost community she had felt then. The feeling that, in her words, we were all in it together. It took me a long time and a lot of study to understand how she could miss a period marked in history textbooks as tumultuous and uncertain. But I've come to see, as life grew more difficult, many Americans grew more compassionate and less selfish. People rediscovered a sense of community that had been lost over the preceding decades. Amid all the privation and pain, grew a spirit of cooperation. When a neighbor found themselves out of work and down, their loss of social status wasn't taken as a personal moral failing. Likewise, a neighbor's success wasn't taken as a sign of status, but rather of good fortune. It bestowed upon those lucky few the duty and responsibility to help people in need. And that's what many people did. They helped one another find work, they raised their children together, they gave what they could to family and friends in need. What could be more wonderful, more beautiful than that? As Dr. Mishra suggests, something similar is taking place today. Strive to treat people with kindness and compassion. Pain touches everyone, especially during times like these, but pain is not distributed in equal shares. So be empathetic. Seeing the world through someone else's eyes, whether it's insight gained from reading or listening to a friend, provides much needed perspective and helps us to imagine how others experience life. And act with compassion. Take the insight you've gained and help people when you can. That's what mattered during the Depression. Compassion, kindness, and empathy help people overcome the excruciating uncertainty of those years. I think exercising compassion, treating one another with kindness, and practicing empathy matters now too. As you can see, difficult times can inspire some of the purest, best expressions of humanity. They can also compel great and positive change. People pushed government to be more responsive to their needs because of the suffering produced by the Great Depression, and government responded by creating a social safety net that has benefited millions of Americans. Workers fought for and gained important benefits, and African Americans, who had been among the hardest hit by the Depression, formed grassroots political organizations to end discriminatory hiring practices and taught important lessons to a generation of activists who would go on to pursue racial justice and eventually dismantle American apartheid while leaving much work unfinished. What you do in this life matters. What you do moving forward matters. During the Depression, people shaped the country in ways that brought us closer to our nation's expressed ideals. These times offer you the same opportunity. Indeed, I challenge you as an educated person to think about responsibility not in narrow, self-interested terms, rather in broad terms, as owing a duty to oneself and society. But these things that I've told you matter. Kindness, empathy, compassion, and civic engagement are not mutually exclusive. Couple civic engagement with kindness, compassion, and empathy. So speak out, speak up, but also shut up and listen. Both speaking and listening are ways of doing something. Whatever you want to change, it can't happen without civic engagement. Make this moment a turning point in our politics, our social relations, our culture. Don't just tweet, post, and share. If you're interested in politics, volunteer. If you're interested in social causes, embrace activism. If you're interested in government service, serve. If you're not interested in any of these, find something you're passionate about and make this moment count. And read. Reading is not just a school thing. We taught you to be lifelong learners. Reject the casual cynicism so common in our political and social discourse, and vote in every election that you're allowed, even if you think your vote doesn't make a difference. Choose optimism and cultivate civic action. People make a difference. What you do matters. And when you decide what matters to you, go at it with the determination and the tenacity with which you pursued your degree. Getting your degree wasn't easy. Long commutes, long papers, some of you a long way from home, some of you long shots. It didn't matter. You did it. So let me leave you with a quote from Franklin Roosevelt, who almost 90 years ago stood before a group of graduates in that other difficult time. And I quote, "Yours is not the task of making your way in the world, but the task of remaking the world which you will find before you." May every one of us be granted the courage, the faith, and the vision to give the best that is in us to that remaking. Congratulations and best of luck in the future.